So Mario asked us to tell a personal story up here, and he said that the greatest stories that have been told with Idea Minch have been the ones that really weren't just your traditional startup stories. So I thought I'd share a story that I've never told publicly before. And this is literally a story that I've told less than 10 people in my life, personal friends and family. I want to tell that story, and then we'll talk a little bit about how SalesLoft came to be. But I think that the whole concept of bringing ideas to life starts with the idea of confidence that you can overcome the challenges to bring ideas to life. And for me, I kind of got slapped in the face as a child, and that's what helped me to build this up. So when I was born, I was born by a 17-year-old high school mom in DeKalb Medical. And the minute I was born, I was a C-section. I was taken out of the room, put in an incubator, and I didn't meet my mom for 23 years later. But fortunately, I had this amazing adoptive family, and they're my parents today. But the problem was that they got a bad package. I was diagnosed at birth with a terrible disease called gamma globulin immunodeficiency disorder. It's a lot to say. But basically, it meant that my body couldn't produce blood cells and immunities to fight off disease and infection. So the doctor said that I wouldn't live past 3 months, and then a year, and then 2 years. And so from the very beginning of my life, I was fighting tooth and nail just to stay alive. And to give you kind of a gravity of the whole thing, I had these IVs that they'd put in my arm, these butterfly needles, and this drip bag on a big stand. And so for 10 years of my life, every single week, I took an IV of gamma globulin and immune system so that I could fight off disease and infection. Think the kid in the bubble, right? But around age 11, I started to fight the concept of this disease. I started to fight the idea that I had to live this life where I was defective or where there's these challenges. And I'll tell you, there's nothing worse in the entire world than waking up and realizing you can't do the things that everyone else can do. And so I had this real fortunate, now I say fortunate, circumstance of being put in this real challenging environment from youth and fighting through it. So now today, no more gamma globulin, no immunodeficiency disorder, a miracle that it's gone. But this is what made me not fear challenges. This is what made me wake up in the morning and say, whatever it is that I need to overcome, I'm going to do it. And I think that's been a big trait that I'm thankful to God that was given to me. But I wanted to share that story just to kind of give you some perspective on where I've come from and the things that I've had to deal with. But I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I was a kid, I was a super salesman. I sold the hell out of baseball cards, Beanie Babies. I used to go to the flea market and get the 18-year-olds to buy Chinese throwing stars and little ninja sais so I could take them back to the neighborhood and sell them to all the 15-year-olds. And I just got a lot of enjoyment out of taking something and turning it into something more. And the look on people's eyes when you give them a brand new comic book and give them something that they were looking for. So I had this urge always as a kid to come out and sell and to make things happen. And when I was young and I overcame those diseases, it was interesting because I had this feeling like I had a new lease on life. I went from being sick and not able to do things to being a normal kid. And I took that new lease on life and overextended it. And so going from these challenges of not being able to normally operate to being able to do anything, I actually realized that I overextended the gifts that were given to me and looked at life in the wrong way. And so high school and college, I was impulsive, I was a party animal. I was all about what can we do today to have fun? And fortunately, the second aha moment in my life came through mentors and my relationship with my sister, where I was able to see that there's a bigger picture, that there's this gift that's been given and that all of you in this room have these talents and these abilities. And I realized that was why I was put here, is to work with those talents and abilities and give back. And so that's when I started to think about entrepreneurship heavily. And this is probably 2003, 2004. I got connected with a group called ATDC that many of you are familiar with, the Advanced Technology Development Center on campus at Georgia Tech. And I started looking at all the entrepreneurs and all the challenges that they faced. And I decided to dedicate my life to helping those entrepreneurs and to building amazing businesses. And so today I stand not just here as SalesLoft CEO, but here to share that my goal and what I wake up in the morning caring about is helping people accomplish their dreams through businesses and through entrepreneurship. So I'll tell you a quick story about how SalesLoft came to life. We started the business a year ago, but I actually think I started the business back in 2005 when every move I made was thinking about this future, thinking about when this company would come to life. All the relationships that I worked with, all the skills that I learned, all the books that I read, they were all about how do I create this business that's going to be amazing and it's going to add more than just these things that I've been taking. And so I started selling professionally inside of ATDC with a company called Revelation Partners. It's now eHire. Some people might be familiar with it in town. And I learned this concept that would stay with me forever. Salespeople get a bad rap. I'm sure everyone in this room has had a negative experience of a salesperson before. But I didn't want to sell like that. I was selling professional services, and I was calling on companies and telling them how they could use software developers, how they could use hardware electronics engineers to get stuff done. But it was kind of a commodity business. Think the recruiting industry. Everyone's calling the same people. Everyone's got these solutions. And so I wanted to come up with ways to be unique, ways to differentiate myself, and ways to focus on my customer as a priority and offer them a sincere, professional engagement that meant something more to them. So I started doing these tricks on the internet. I had this tool, this little web app that we built in 2005, and it would go to all the prospects that I was wanting to sell to, and it would scrape their jobs page on the web, and it would email me every day and say, hey, this company's hiring for this type of Java developer. This company's hiring for this C# architect. And then I'd wake up in the morning, I'd get that email, and I'd call that company up, and I'd say, hey, I noticed you guys just posted this. I've got this solution for you, and I'd lay out an exact plan for how they could use this service to their benefit. And for the most part, their minds were blown. They're like, hey, we just realized we needed that, or we just posted that out there. And I realized that if you came at these sales opportunities in a sincere way, and you use the web or use the internet or use data to get an advantage, you can make things happen. And so that there is really the kind of the core of what SalesLoft does. The company that we've started is all about helping sales professionals to be more sincere, so they know who you are, what you care about, where you've been, what you've tried, and why this solution might work for you. And so I was vice president of marketing for a company in town named NanoLumens. And NanoLumens has got a pretty good reputation in town. We raised $18 million to sell the world's largest flexible LED systems. Think about Dallas Cowboys scoreboard, but smaller, thin, lightweight, low power. And we raised $18 million to sell this hardware electronics. And we had this website and all these marketing tools to bring all these prospects in so that we could sell to them. And what I realized is there's all these people that are coming in, and all these people that are checking our pricing page, clicking links, all these things that are happening, but we don't know things about them. And my sales team is not being sincere when they're making these calls. And so we built this tool that would basically go out on the web and identify all the times, all the opportunities, all the valuable information that they needed to know and deliver it back to them. And these sales reps were able to accomplish great things. So those were some of the inspirations that led to SalesLoft. And really the most important thing, I think, has been the people that have been involved. So I met with a guy named David Cummings. David's an entrepreneur in town. He's the CEO of Pardot, and he's done some amazing things for not just the community, but really for the industry of business-to-business marketing and sales. And he and I sat down over lunch, and we talked about the ideas that we had for SalesLoft, and it just felt like it was time to go. And so this was the opportunity where we had this whole business laid out, these ideas of where we wanted to go, and it was time to put it into effect. And I can just thank David and the people that we've been able to work with to bring this business together. John Birdsong's in the back. He's a colleague of mine and unbelievable all-star on the team. And just wanted to share that, you know, when you have these goals, when you have these ambitions, when you have these things that you want to do, there's really just no substitute for getting out and getting it done. And we've stumbled, we've hurt ourselves, we've, you know, stubbed our toes on things along the way, and, you know, building a business is tough, and accomplishing your dreams is tough, but it's just neat to have, you know, the motivations to put you in the path to do that. So I'd love to just figure out what you guys have on your mind and open it up for questions and hear what you guys are thinking.